On board a captured Nazi V-2 rocket in 1947, these tiny pests made history. They were the first animals in space sent to explore the effects of radiation on organisms. They returned to Earth safely by parachute. A total of 32 monkeys have flown to space, beginning with Albert II in 1949. A decade later, a rhesus and a squirrel monkey became the first to survive the trip, experiencing over 30 times the pull of our Earth's gravity. Even today, mice are ferried to and from the ISS, the International Space Station, and are key for studies in sending humans to Mars. Recently, it was discovered that astromice sent to deep space showed signs of liver damage. During the 1950s and 1960s, dogs were used by the USSR to investigate whether human spaceflight was feasible. The Soviets chose canines, believing they could cope with the stress of the experience better than other animals. Russian scientists sent lizards to space to study how weightlessness affects reproduction. When one wriggled free of its identification collar, the geckos were filmed playing with the floating object, a rare behavior for reptiles. In 1963, the very first feline was sent into space by French scientists. The cat, known as Félicette, had electrodes implanted in her brain in order to record impulses sent back to Earth. Love them or hate them, we're physiologically similar to rodents. That's why a team of ratstronauts are currently being used to study how microgravity affects organisms during long stays in space. The very first tortoise was launched into space in 1968 with wineflies and mealworms. They flew around the moon and back to Earth, making them the first animals to enter deep space. What's more, they survived the trip. Cockroaches conceived on board the International Space Station were around to grow faster, run quicker, and were much tougher than those born on Earth. Perhaps it's time to welcome our new insect overloads. What do humans and jellyfish have in common? We both orientate ourselves according to gravity. NASA raised thousands of creatures in space to test the effects and found the astrojellies couldn't swim in normal gravity back on Earth. Padding thought the secrets of Moscow, Laika, a mongrel, was plucked from obscurity to stardom. Soviet scientists reasoned that since she was capable of withstanding extreme cold and hunger as a stray dog, she would be able to endure a rigorous training schedule which would prepare her for a trip to space in 1957. Before being confined to the capsule, essentially a metal ball weighing around 18 kilograms, Laika's fur was sponged with a weak alcoholic solution and iodine was painted onto the areas where sensors would be placed to monitor all of her bodily functions. There were no plans to retrieve Laika from space, and she died several hours into the flight from stress and excessive heat, causes that were kept a secret for 40 years. Sputnik 2 circled the Earth 2,570 times before burning up in the Earth's atmosphere. In 2008, a monument was erected in Laika's honor outside the Moscow facility where she was trained.